Welcome, everybody, to the Friday night or Saturday morning, depending on what part of the world you're in, session for the Redox 5. We say that it's 5 o'clock somewhere, so we're going to go ahead and get started so that we're not too late. We appreciate you all coming in. As you do come in, let us know where you're coming from. We will keep the chat open. You can feel welcome to put some of your questions in there. We may or may not get to them. There's no promise, but sometimes that expands our talking points. My name is Lee Osler, and I am a dentist in the state of Washington in the United States. Our co-hosts, Jim and Glenn and Maureen Hayes, are absent. They are in a ASEA event in the state of Texas. And so we've asked Dr. Ray Dixon, who is currently in Bangkok. He's from Phuket, Thailand. To join us. He's been a familiar face here, and we appreciate having him help us anchor. Also, Dr. Dick Walker from Spokane, Washington, is with us tonight. As we begin, we will just disclose that we are each, except for our host or our guest tonight, we are each associates of a marketing company called AseaGlobal, which is now representing its product and this science in 34 countries around the world. But we, as such, as a supplement, we do not make any claims to diagnose, treat, cure, or deal with medical diseases, especially those that have a diagnostic name. This is a cellular health supplement, and under that context will be how we address our content tonight. Dick, I'm going to turn the time over to you and have you introduce our guest, and then from there we'll get going.
Sure, absolutely. I think many of you already know Hunter Dean. He's Senior Vice President of Production Operations is his official title. I remember I first met him several years ago on one of the numerous tours I've taken of the production facility. I'm not sure he was Senior Vice President at that time, but he was doing the tour, and I've gotten to know him pretty well through our activities at the Medical Professional Board because he's quite active in coordinating those activities. He really is a go-to guy when I want to know what's going on behind the scenes with the research and, where are we headed with this. So he's going to be a great source of information tonight. And Lee was talking about a scoop, and Hunter has a scoop with a brand new little short video we're going to show at some point in time this evening about our Essentials Bundle. So welcome, Hunter. Let's have a great conversation here tonight about what's going on at ASEA.
Thanks, Dick. So excited to be here with you guys.
One of the things, Hunter, that we wanted to do was to address the updated NRF2 flyer. We spoke about this, I think it was a month ago, as I recall. We talked about the follow-on information that was coming out of the studies that were going on in Sydney and at Bath University. And we had a very interesting and deep conversation then about NRF2 and what these studies were. There's going to be many people who are with us tonight or watching on the recording who didn't catch that first one. So maybe we could start there. And maybe you could kind of give us a reintroduction of those studies and what they were doing. And then we can get into what this new updated summary is all about.
Yeah. So to provide a little bit of context behind the research that we did with the two universities last year, I'll briefly talk about the Torrey lab study that was done in 2017. And what this was an in-human trial, double-blind, placebo-controlled study. There were 60 human participants that were given the product or not. And they found that there was significant increase in genetic expression and activity across several different pathways. One of the pathways happened to be NRF2. When we received this result, we were really excited because NRF2 is known as a master switch. It's a principal pathway that your body has to combat inflammation and oxidative stress. It's one of the principal tools that your body has to respond to stress. And so we wanted to kind of double click on that and do some more research on NRF2 and understand a little bit more how ASEA and these high energy, tiny redox signaling molecules was stimulating the NRF2 pathway from within the cell. So we partnered with University of Western Sydney and the University of Bath in England, and we had them do in vitro studies on both Renew 28 as well as the ASEA Redox supplement, the blue bottle. And we found that there was significant increase in NRF2 genetic expression, which led to the production of a protective protein called glutathione. And in fact, there were multiple protective proteins that were produced under the subcategory called AREs, antioxidant response elements. But glutathione is the major player there, so that's what we were testing for. In both studies, ASEA and Renew 28 were found to have a significant increase in glutathione levels. In fact, we're seeing increases in glutathione at the cellular level of 40 to 55%, depending on which experiment you're looking at. And so ASEA was really excited about this. We released a white paper towards the end of last year, beginning of this, and it was really exciting because it was the time in which we had a physical mechanism of action to be able to show one way that ASEA was interacting with the body and having positive results. Now, the white paper admittedly was very technical, very long, took a while to extract the information out. And so many had requested that we do a summary, which went live, I believe, last week, and is available on the virtual office. So those of you who have not seen that, it's available on the virtual office now. I believe there's even a link to it at top, a banner that's available to direct people to that document.
Let's back up and address what this is about. You know, for
Yeah.
somebody who just kind of landed on the planet and said, I'm trying to get my bearings here, what is it that we're actually talking about? You know, what is a redox signaling molecule to begin with? So let's start there.
Sure. So redox signaling molecules are tiny, high energy molecules. These are native to the body. They're produced within the mitochondria of the cell, and it's how your cells communicate. They send these molecules as signals. These molecules act like signals. And so ASEA is a supplement of these native to the body redox signaling molecules. When these redox signaling molecules come into your cells, they are tiny, high energy molecules. Because they're so tiny, they can be absorbed directly into the cell. Once absorbed, they act like an on-off switch, turning on cell signaling and communication. Your cells have to communicate in order to be able to function properly. Without communication, they cannot function properly. And they communicate through redox signaling molecules. So these redox signaling molecules act like switches, turning on cellular communication. Once a cell is turned on, it signals to the cells around it. Those cells signal to the cells around them, beginning what we call the cascade or domino effect. That's something like the NRF2 studies that we're talking about here, is a cascade effect of turning on cellular communication. And it's this cascade or domino effect that contributes to our resilience to stress. Our body's ability to respond to stress and inflammation is central to maintaining our health and wellness. And our body uses communication through redox signaling molecules to respond to that stress, like pathways like NRF2.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand, a lot of people think stress just means emotional stress. Like, I'm under stress, I'm stressed out. And yet stress, when we think of this in scientific terms, I think in scientific terms, there are like 8 or 9 different recognized forms of things that stress out the cell, environmental, dietary, lack of sleep, all kinds of things that cause stress in the cell that the cell has to respond to. If it doesn't, the cell undergoes harm. And so it's important to understand that glutathione and this NRF2 stuff is important because it helps the cell to respond to all of those different forms of stress that can cause harmful effects in the cell if not managed.
So let me ask this question maybe for all. I'm looking at the screen here on Zoom, and we've got a dentist, a chemical engineer, a physician, a nutritionist, and a naturopath chiropractor, and a Wizard of Oz, Ray Dixon, with us tonight. But this is a pretty broad.
You need to get Ray one of those pointy hats, right?
Yeah, right. This is a pretty broad representation. I mean, this is like various healthcare fields. So, maybe Hunter, I'll start with you, and we can go around the circuit. It's like, does this apply to everybody, or is this simply just kind of like a vitamin knockoff?
Yeah, great question. And there was something that came up in the chat that kind of goes along with this. The question was, doesn't the body already do this?
Yeah.
And the answer to that is yes, the body does create these compounds, these molecules within the cell. The problem is oxidative stress. We have very little control of how much of it we're exposed to throughout our day. And health challenges come from when the body is unable to produce enough redox signaling to respond to stressors. As we're exposed to illness, as we're exposed to health challenges, as we're exposed to the sun's rays, pollution, processed foods, this breaks down our ability to create our own redox signaling molecules. And so the body has an insufficient number of them to deal with all of the stress that we're exposed to on a daily basis. In fact, stress, this oxidative stress, is pointed to as one of the leading causes of aging. And so this lack of redox signaling molecules that happens over time points to aging, it points to health challenges, it points to a whole host of issues. This is the very first technology that allows you to supplement your body's shortage of redox signaling molecules. And so when I say it applies to everybody, I mean everybody. There are people who are maybe advanced in years and the cell signaling is not working like it used to, and they see dramatic changes in their health and in their wellness. Younger people see the benefit too, because combating aging starts at the age you're currently at. You don't want to wait till you're 60, 70, 80, 90 to try and do some anti-aging. You want to start today. You want to start at whatever age you're at to help you increase your health span and lifespan as much as you can. And so it absolutely applies to everyone.
I really like that, the supplement the body's shortage. I think that's a good expression. Ray, your thoughts?
Kind of summarize in my terms the way I see it. Once again, as Dr. Dick as well explained, and Hunter, any challenge to human cellular function is a stressor. Homeostasis is the balance. So it doesn't matter what that form of stress is, it increases demands on the human body. And some of those greatest demands are managing oxidative stress. In fact, I would go further than Hunter, and I would say I taught out of McCann Youth of Pathophysiology textbooks for 16 years. And the two fundamental causes of all disease processes are actually inflammation and oxidative stress. And then we've teased that out a lot over the years as knowledge unravels, and it appears that it's oxidative stress primarily resulting in inflammatory processes which cause diseases. So we're actually right at the coalface here. We're right at the coalface between energy and matter and disordered functioning in cells. Now, it should be said, normal stress to cells, there is a normal level of stress to cells, is what I'm trying to say. That is normal functioning. Challenges to homeostasis or balance. But when things go awry or get a little bit too extreme, it's always going to be oxidative stress that's manifesting. And then we need ways and methods to combat that. And the body has that inbuilt. So as someone has said on the call, and Hunter's addressed very well, the body has inbuilt mechanisms to deal with oxidative stress. One of the major ones we know, because there's things we don't, is glutathione. And we now already know from these studies that redox signaling molecules, a la what is in the blue bottle of ASEA, via the NRF2 pathway. One mechanism, there's much more to unravel yet. We already have absolute proof of profound benefits to manage oxidative stress. Remember, that underpins all disease processes. We don't need to name diseases. All disease processes are underpinned by oxidative stress and inflammation, and we already have the proof that AseaRedox in both the Reno 28 gel and the Redox liquid supplement is profoundly helping the body by bio-replenishing. You like the supplement of why we need it. We're deficient. We entered deficiency from peak puberty. Mitochondrial density to efficiency and body size peaks at healthy puberty. Thereafter, it's downhill. It doesn't matter who you are. So anyone post-puberty, super healthy, is already entered deficiency and imbalance levels in redox. And one last thing I would say is it's not just about disease processes. A cellular performance regarding exercise. Exercise, by definition, by the way, is a stress. It is a stressor. The body, when functioning well, is able to rise to meet that stress and therefore perform its normal functioning more efficiently. That's where the benefits of exercise come from. So increasing cellular performance regarding exercise is also a key component of this.
Hey, Dick, your two thoughts, and then I want to, just to cue up Hunter, I want to talk about dosing, but your thoughts first.
I think for most people, it really helps to understand that, we're talking about this concept of oxidative stress, but oxidative stress really is inflammation, or maybe it's the precursor to inflammation. So our body wears out because of the ill effects of inflammation and oxidative stress. And so that's one of the reasons why everybody can benefit from taking this product, whether they're healthy when they come to understanding this, or whether they have significant challenges already. I wish that this had been around when I was reaching puberty. I certainly wish it was around when I was climbing, the tall mountains around the world. I would have certainly made room in my pack from ASEA and some Renew 28, but it just didn't even exist back then. But, these molecules are just absolutely amazing in helping our body to counteract oxidative stress and slow down the effects of that inflammation on our body. And Hunter alluded to it already. What causes aging is inflammation. In fact, there's a term out there that the scientists have developed called inflam aging, which really describes the aging process. We used to think it was genetically determined, and yeah, there's probably some propensities to age better in some genetic way, but inflammation is what causes aging. Inflammation is what causes disease, and an imbalance in redox biology is what causes increased oxidative stress and inflammation. And so we're talking about helping to neutralize, almost a universal root cause of disease and premature aging. And once people understand that, everybody in the world ought to be taking this, because it's the only product out there that I know of that can have the effect that this has. And I know when people call me to do three-way calls, the person that's looking at ASEA or not responding yet always wants to explain all of the diagnoses that have been made and all of the tests that have been done. And I don't need to know any of that. All I need to know is that you have symptoms of disease. There's something going on in your body that's not going the way it should. And that's always because your cells are in redox imbalance and are undergoing an excessive level of oxidative stress. And when we can correct that over time, that's why we see so many different problems start to resolve with supplementation of redox signaling molecules. And it's so different. It is not a nutritional product. Get that out of your mind. ASEA-Redox is not nutrition. There's no nutritional value whatsoever. It is a signaling product. And that's one of the reasons why people see results so much quicker than they do with taking nutritional products. I mean, I've taken a number of nutritional products all my life, but I can't ever say that I had an aha moment with any of those. And yet aha moments with redox supplementation are very, very common. So yeah, I mean, it's different than anything else out there. It's an amazing product. It is anti-inflammatory, anti-oxidative stress. And one of the things that's been alluded to is that it works a little bit like exercise, and that's true. That's why you don't take ASEA every 2 hours. You take it intermittently because the body then responds to that stress and gets stronger and gets better at dealing with stress of all different kinds. So it's absolutely an amazing product, and I look forward to getting into the conversation about dosing and minimum effective doses and that sort of thing. And because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding with regard to that, Lee.
Now let's go back to Hunter now. Now that you've been forewarned, let's talk about dosing. There's some new things coming on. Maybe we can start there. Just give you kind of an open floor to kind of take that where you want, because I'd love to claim journalistic credit for what you're going to say, but it's all on you now.
Sure. Before I talk on dosing, I wanted to make a quick point to what Dick was talking about. Is this is not a traditional health supplement. A lot of people ask, well, what is a redox signaling molecule? What is in the bottle? On the bottle it says salt and water, right? What is this that I'm taking? ASEA Redox supplement is the only supplement that I'm aware of on the face of this planet that the benefit lies within the manufacturing process rather than the list of ingredients. Now, what do I mean by that? If I'm taking a multivitamin and I see vitamin D3, vitamin B12, vitamin C, name several others, fish oil supplements, I know the benefit because of the ingredient, and the ingredient has been studied to have a specific benefit. If you look on the ASEA bottle, it says salt and water. What benefits come from that? Well, it's because the benefits don't come from the ingredients. It comes from the manufacturing process. In the manufacturing process, we use a patented process, a proprietary process, to introduce energy into a saline solution. This allows molecules to be formed that would otherwise not be formed. These molecules happen to be redox signaling molecules, the very same ones that are in your body, natural, native to the body, redox signaling molecules. Much like on a loaf of bread in the ingredients list, you don't see bread, you see wheat, flour, water, salt, right? These are the ingredients. But through a process, it becomes bread. Our product is similar. Through a process, salt and water become something more, redox signaling molecules that are totally native to the body. So, with that being said, let's talk dosage. So, on the bottle, and this depends by market because we're classified differently depending on the market. We're a new technology, and a lot of governments don't know how to classify us, and so our registration varies from market to market, and what our serving size is varies based on our product classification. But in the United States, the bottle says 2 ounces to 4 ounces daily. There has been a new bundle released, which I'm sure the majority of this call is aware, that has offered a 6-bottle bundle. It's the best value that you can get on the core flagship technology that ASEA holds. We're super excited about it, and it's been received extremely well. It's been adopted very, very quickly. The numbers are awesome to see. There's been a ton of excitement around it. But this 6-bottle bundle is enough for you to take 6 ounces a day. Right? That's the cup that it ships with. Ray right there is holding it up. That's a 2-ounce cup. So 6 ounces a day would be 3 of those cups per day. The bottle says 2 to 4 ounces daily, or 1 to 2 cups a day. In 2017, the Torrey Lab study talked about the NRF2, right? That's the genesis of the NRF2 studies, that genetic expression study in 2017. studied individuals on 8 ounces per day. And at 8 ounces per day, we saw an increase in genetic expression. So the question that is asked is, if the Torrey lab study proves benefit at 8 ounces per day, why is ASEA now offering a bundle that is calibrated towards 6 ounces per day? The answer is that since 2017, our technology has gotten better. Our manufacturing processes have improved. The equipment that we use to manufacture the product is improved. And that several improvements since 2017 leaves today's product 30% more concentrated than the product in 2017. So today, if you take 6 ounces of product, that is the same number of redox signaling molecules as the individuals during the Torrey lab study taking 8 ounces daily. Now, that wasn't just one change and on, December 2023, all of a sudden it became 30% increased in concentration. It was a series of incremental improvements to the manufacturing process that allowed us to slowly increase the concentration by 30%. That's why we haven't announced anything until this point when we released the bundle, was because it would have been 3% increase, 5% increase, 7% increase. Finally, after about 5 years of research, we've increased the concentration by 30% through incremental improvement and change. Let me pause here and state we are not changing the dosage recommendation on the bottle. We're not even saying that everybody has to take 6 ounces a day. If you're on more than that, then that's great. Do what fits your lifestyle. If you're on less than 6 ounces a day, but you've wanted to try more, this is the most affordable way to do so. The purpose of the subscription bundle is to award those who are on subscription and provide them the most value and the best access to our core technology. So while many will adopt the bundle and take 6 ounces daily, if you have a regimen that is working for you, we encourage you to continue with that. But do what you will with the bundle to increase the affordability of your regimen. I'll pause there. Do you guys have any comments or questions or things that I should touch on? Yeah, Ray.
I've got something, but go ahead, Ray. You have your hand up first.
Well, first, can we go back to the Torrey laboratory study and why ASEA chose the 8 ounces anyway? Like, what was the basis to choose that amount for that study?
Yeah, admittedly, the Torrey lab study was before I was at ASEA, but my understanding was that they were looking at increasing the dosage because the regular use of 8 ounces daily in the field. And so even though the product had a recommendation of 2 to 4 ounces, as was originally registered in each of the countries, they wanted to study what was the most common amount taken by the associates at the time. And so that was kind of the reasoning behind the 8 ounces daily.
That's
So
true.
I can just...
I was around back then, and we recommended that if they were going to do that study, and I think they may have done a pilot with 4 ounces and they didn't see that result, but we recommended that at some point in time in that study, they should study 8 ounces because in the field, we were seeing much more frequent positive responses with 8 ounces in people than we were seeing with 4.
So can I therefore perhaps pause for a second and make it clear to the world out there? This is still unraveling. The science of how much redox you personally need is still unraveling. There are no 2 people on this planet who are identical unless you have an identical twin. And even there's differences. So the reality is, and I think it needs to be clear, that was an estimated amount. We know we're deficient. We don't know exactly how much you individually need to optimize your results because you're unique. Now, fortunately, there is no harm to be had. So there is no toxicity. There is no allergenicity. So I think this is a really interesting process that is unraveling over time between ASEA corporate and the world out there of us professionals and others sharing the technology with people and finding what appears to work best for them. So there's not going to be set doses for set conditions. Your body doesn't care what the name of your condition is. But your doctor, your inner doctor, certainly has its own priority scale in the healing process and the healing journey. So Hunter's unraveled there, and Dr. Dick very well, as to the journey that we're all going through to find what is optimum. So you may well find your optimum is beyond the 3 cups a day, which is now equivalent to what used to be 4 cups a day. There will be some that need perhaps to get their optimum a little bit more than that. Where Dr. Dick mentioned before, he doesn't need to know your exact list of diseases. The only relevance that plays is, the more redox imbalance you have and the older you are, potentially the more deficient you are. We know enough to know that. So that kind of is what tweaks the amount up, in my view, and when I share it with people. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, absolutely. What I was going to bring up is that when we look at these studies, and the study is done with a certain dose, and we find a certain result, with the recent, 50 to 60% increase in glutathione, etc. That doesn't mean that you can take half the dose that was done in the study and get the same result. If you want the benefits that are being documented in a study, then I don't care who you are, you have to take that dose if you want to get that same result. Like in the Torre study, if you said, well, okay, great, they took 8 ounces, they got this result, I'm going to take 4 ounces and I think I'll get the same result. That's not true. So when we talk about a minimum effective result, it may not take you that much for you to feel better, but if you're talking technically about getting a certain benefit, and you're using this study to, when you're talking to people, if they want to get that benefit, then they have to take that dose. And oftentimes we see people that get benefit on a very low dose, but it's really hard to connect that to science, because we know that the science shows that to affect a scientific outcome, a documented outcome, it does take a certain amount of a regular dosing with the ASEA. So I think you just have to understand how to interpret a minimum effective dose based on these studies. These studies prove that ASEA works very effectively at the given dose in the study. And I think that's important for people to understand.
I'd like to make a comment, and then I want to throw it back to Hunter, because he's got a video that he's just itching to show us here. But, unless people assume from this conversation that we're just kind of sitting here spinning a yarn and coming up with some arbitrary stuff relative to dosing, there is a scientific principle that undergirds this in redox cell biology, and it's all about hormesis. If I put it in everyday language, I'd call it the Goldilocks effect. It's the just right amount, and every person's just right amount is going to be different based on their genetic background, their health history, their age, and a host of other conditions. And so, as the question's been asked often, it's like, wasn't there a test we can take to titrate or, to find out exactly what's going on? And the answer is no. And too often we kind of come at this with a drug or a medical mindset, a reductionistic mindset that starts to measure this in very specific ways. And it doesn't really work that way. So everybody finds in their own experience, what seems to help them from a health vitality point of view. And so that's, if you want to dig deeper on that, this is probably not the time to go into that rabbit hole and talk about all the nuances of hormesis, but it's easily accessible. And from just an internet search, it's HORMESIS. It's a fascinating discovery, but that is exactly the way this and most all redox lifestyle interventions work. So, all right, Hunter, take it away.
Sure. Along with that hormesis kind of topic, with the understanding of hormesis and that there is a Goldilocks zone, ASEA has done extensive studies and has found every single time that ASEA is 100% non-toxic and 100% non-mutagenic. And what non-mutagenic means is it's not mutating cells at the genetic or DNA level. And so there is no toxic amount. You can take as much of this as you need in order to hit your Goldilocks zone, wherever your hormetic curve lies based on the amount of oxidative stress in your body. You can do so knowing it's a completely 100% non-toxic product. And again, that's because these molecules are native to the body. The body knows exactly what to do with these molecules, and so it makes sense that there is no toxicity. So,
Hey, Hunter, really quick, before you segue there, there's been a couple comments about why isn't this in a pill? Why isn't it in a lozenge? Could you just explain the nature of the supplement?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go back a little ways just to provide some background and some context here. Redox signaling molecules have been a known compound for a very long time. The study of redox chemistry goes back over 100 years. 1998, first Nobel Prize was awarded in the field of redox chemistry, specifically to nitric oxide and its role as a redox signaling molecule in the cardiovascular system. So this concept of redox in the body and redox signaling molecules have been known for a very long time. What has not been known is how to stabilize these tiny high energy molecules in a way that allows supplementation, right? We've known the importance of redox signaling molecules for a very long time. This is the first technology. ASEA is the first company to offer a stabilized version that allows supplementation and topical application through Renew 28. Now, in order to achieve that stability, and this is, I tread carefully here because this is where the patents come in and this is where the trade secrets come in, is there are certain environments in which you can maximize the stability of the product. Meaning, we cannot introduce redox signaling molecules in every form that you could think of. A throat lozenge with redox signaling molecules would be awesome, but it would be extremely difficult to stabilize these molecules in that format. A sunscreen with redox signaling molecules in it would be an amazing product. But because of the other ingredients that are in sunscreen, it makes it very difficult to stabilize redox signaling molecules. And so while we would love to offer redox signaling molecules in just about every format possible and with other applications, a huge amount of research goes into making sure that these redox molecules remain stable in new products, which is why the clay mask, for example, was such a breakthrough for us, was because we found a way to add an extremely pure form of clay, an extremely pure form of bentonite, while maintaining the stability of these redox signaling molecules. And so the form factor, so to speak, of the product is highly dictated by the stability of these redox signaling molecules to allow supplementation and ultimately a benefit to the end user. Okay, so with that said, this is a video that's going to be going live next week. You guys are getting a sneak peek at it as a thank you for being on this call and having me on and talk with you guys here. This is just a video kind of explaining what we've already touched on about why 6 ounces instead of 8, why the bundle is 6 bottles. The intent of this is to help you explain to those in your organization why one would consider the bundle and some information around it. So we'll go ahead and play that, and perhaps there's some questions we can address afterwards. Let me see if I can remember how to share the audio as well here. Share sound, okay.
ASEA is extremely excited about the new Essentials bundle. This bundle is the best value that we have ever offered on our core flagship technology. This bundle gives you the flexibility to let your serving fit your lifestyle. Over the past 15 years, we've seen people have amazing benefits from this life-changing technology. Over those 15 years, we had recommended a serving size on the bottle, and people had amazing, amazing results. During this time, many found that they could increase their benefit if they increased the amount of product that they were taking each day. And in fact, the science seems to support that. In 2017, a study conducted with Torrey Labs showed important benefits could be had by taking 8 ounces per day at the genetic level. This new essential bundle offers 6 ounces daily. Now you may be asking, well, if the Torrey Lab study was conducted on 8 ounces a day and had great benefit for those participants, why are we offering a bundle that provides enough for you to take 6 ounces per day? Our technology and manufacturing process has improved since 2017. This has left the product more pure, potent, and concentrated. In fact, there are 30% more redox signaling molecules in each bottle of ASEA Redox supplement than in 2017 during the Torrey Lab study. What this means is you can get the benefit that those participants in that study had with 8 ounces with 6 ounces of today's product. We're not saying that everybody has to take 6 ounces every day. If you're taking more than that and that fits your lifestyle, great. But now with the Essentials bundle, you have a better value option to take the serving size that fits your lifestyle. If you're taking 4 ounces, you now have a high value way of increasing the amount of product that you take so you can increase your benefit. No matter your lifestyle, no matter the serving size that you take, we invite you to power your potential with the Essentials bundle that is backed by science. It will transform your health at the cellular level.
Okay, great. So that's really just a reiteration of what we've kind of already discussed, but the goal is for this to be an easy tool for when there are questions about the bundle. You can click on it and basically say, here, watch this. As Terry Latham says, push play, right? This is something to explain. Hey, we're not saying everybody has to take 6 ounces. We're not saying everybody has to take any amount, right? We've already touched on this call that everybody is very different, exposed to different amounts of oxidative stress, are at different health levels, different ages. Everybody is extremely, extremely unique. And so what this bundle is calibrated to do is offer the best value on this technology and allow you to find what is that Goldilocks zone for you at the best value possible.
Yeah, Hunter, I'd like you to comment on one thing too. We during the leading up to when ASEA first came out, the main, let me just turn off my phone here just a second. Oops. Cool. Anyway, the main thing that the health that we dealt with was antioxidants, because antioxidants was sort of the holy grail of wellness. But when you load up your body with plant-based antioxidants, you really have no idea what's getting into your cell. If any of it, certainly some of it does. You're not really operating on the knowledge of how much of that antioxidant your cell needs. You may be giving it more than it needs, leading to maybe a conversation about reductive stress, which is kind of the opposite of what we're talking about. But the beauty of what I see with ASEA is we're actually empowering our cell to determine exactly the amount of antioxidant production that the cell needs at any given moment, because the cell is not going to overdose itself on glutathione, but in many cases it needs more than it can produce given the level of redox signaling molecules that it has. And so through supplementation, it can monitor and produce just the right amount of glutathione, for instance, and the other antioxidants, as opposed to guesswork, wondering if you're getting enough antioxidants in your diet or with other types of nutritional supplementation. And I think that's really a takeaway from the antioxidant study, from the NRF2 study. And the other one that really impressed me was that even in cells that were damaged, intentionally damaged, in that study, they also had a significant increase in glutathione. And that's really what we're wanting. We're wanting, our healthy cells are doing pretty good with a number of molecules. It's the unhealthy ones that need the additional benefit, I think, of additional signaling molecules. And it's important for people to understand that by taking additional signaling molecules, your body isn't going to take those and do something harmful. It can't. They use these molecules in a way passively to help the cells generate superior results by stimulating repair pathways and the genetics necessary there. But it's never going to push your cell to do something that it shouldn't do. It's just going to help your cells to do the beneficial things in a more efficient, effective manner.
Hey, Hunter, one thing I'd like you to do, and then I want to toss it to Ray, and that what Dick just said about in that study where they intentionally, put a roadblock, they put an inhibitor in that process. Could you just, take 60 seconds or whatever? Why is that significant? Why does that matter?
Yeah. As far as
they inhibited the oxidative response there,
okay, yeah,
and then it still overcame that.
Yeah. So the significance of that is really there's a downward spiral that happens when a cell is compromised. It loses its ability to take care of itself. One of the functions that go away extremely quickly is its ability to produce its own glutathione. So cell is out of balance, loses its ability to produce its own glutathione, is therefore further out of balance because there's no glutathione protecting it from oxidative stress. And it's really a downward spiral towards ultimately cellular death. And it's really hard to break that spiral once it's started. What's so impactful about this is that the study showed that even cells that were treated with it's called BSO, it's a glutathione blocker, were able to restart and stimulate production of glutathione. In fact, this was such a shocking result that the researchers at the university called us and said that they had performed the experiment 6 additional times above the 3 that they were contracted to do. They did not charge us for the additional 6. They simply did it because they wanted to make sure that they were not making a mistake that was causing this outcome. And so it was really, really surprising to the research, and it was something that we were really excited about because this downward spiral is really hard to stop. But because you're introducing redox signaling molecules that are native to the cell, these cells know exactly what to do with them when they show up, and it shows the benefit in the research and in the results that were had.
To me, that was one of the most significant findings in that research, was that it actually was beneficial to cells that were already stressed beyond the ability to manage and to react to that stress, and yet by giving additional redox molecules, it restored that ability. I thought that was very, very impressive.
Great.
Well, it's really mimicking disease processes, and as Hunter said, that downward spiral to ultimate cell death. Well, along that downward spiral is disordered functioning. And every disease process known to humankind is malfunctioning physiology. It's disordered functioning. You can then label the disease process on the end by the type of disorder that manifests. So that downward spiral is not just you live or die in the next second. It's a process of aging, deterioration, malfunctioning, and what we've learned to come to accept as disease processes. The proof, I would say, that redox signaling is an issue in our life is the studies that have been referred to today. There was no studies, whether it was the Torrent laboratory studies on genetic pathways or on NRF2 in this last 2 years, that didn't show this marked increase in glutathione production. So that in itself is proof that the body would like more glutathione. because when it got what it needed to actually stimulate the genetic pathways to make it, well, it made it. So that in itself is a proof that we are lacking the mechanisms to make that extra. Now, the interesting thing is glutathione needs 3 amino acid proteins. So this goes back to an earlier discussion that we were having about materials and nutritional elements and what is beyond that. Redox signaling molecules regulate the cell's use of nutrition. So the very fact that in these studies we see the increase in glutathione, it's not saying we need the extra amino acids, because the study showed that it was able to make the glutathione. It is going above and beyond anything that has ever been in previous discussions on disordered functioning and health issues. It's beyond the materials. It's beyond nutrition, clean air, clean water, healthy exercise physiology. It is something at the coalface. It's why we refer to it as a new technology. It is an absolutely fundamentally new area, and it's just fascinating. And this is why, as people replenish that deficiency, and by the way, we took deficiency from nutrition because we don't have another term for it. You don't have enough and you don't have the correct balance. When we replenish that with ASEA Redox, the magic happens. And that's why so much happens. It's not one individual thing. How often do you feel the difference taking a vitamin C tablet? I do it every day. I don't feel any different. But you most certainly will on Redox.
I'd like to jump in there because what you just said, and from what Hunter said earlier, is really critical. The Torrey lab study showed an increase in glutathione, the Sydney study showed an increase in glutathione. Cysteine supplementation was not part of that protocol. It was doing it from native cysteine that was being developed or broken down from homocysteine and what we call the transsulfuration pathway in the body already. And I think that's a profound point because from a nutritional point of view, just supplementing cysteine also can increase glutathione. But the point is that it's not just a one-shot solution overall, because that's not the pathway works. The importance of NRF2 is that is the gene pathway that creates the enzymes that assembles or ligates the amino acids together that creates a glutathione. And if you can't upregulate the production of the enzymes to create the amino acid, you don't get the amino acid, or it's far less diminished. So, that's maybe a little more in the rabbit hole, but it's a critical distinction because, to be honest with the marketplace, there are other things that activate NRF2, but they don't do it this way. It's not complete and it's not direct. Now, with that said, Hunter, I want to throw it back to you because we've talked a lot about the Torrey study, the lab study, and the EGR, the early growth response 1 gene or assemblage of pathways, of which NRF2 is one of. Okay, we've kind of pinpointed the NRF2, but there's some extrapolation that can be done with this 2017 study that significantly talks about what I call the redoxome, or the redox landscape, redox sensitive switches across the whole thing. And we're like in a little tiny narrow, we put blinders on and we're just talking about NRF2 and glutathione. That's like hitting one key on the piano, right? So maybe you could comment and give us your thought there. We've got 5 minutes left, and maybe you can do that and kind of start to wrap this up for us.
Sure. Yeah. So kind of to what you alluded to there, Lee, is that there were several genes that were shown to increase in activity and expression during the Torrey lab study in individuals that were taking the product. Each one of these genes has several pathways that are associated with its genetic expression. We've talked a lot about traditional supplementation, and we refer to this as a redox supplement because it's supplementing redox signaling molecules, but it's not a supplement in the way that traditional supplements are supplements. One of the analogies that I use to kind of discuss this is that concept of a key on the piano, a key on the keyboard. Traditional supplementation companies will produce great products, right? There are a lot of great supplements out there that do what companies claim they do. A company will come along and say, hey, we're going to produce a supplement that helps you with your cardiovascular health. Well, that's one key on the keyboard. They're pressing one key. I like to think of our health as a complex, beautiful musical piece with a series of chords, notes, melodies, all being played together synchronously to create this musical piece. A supplement can help you, a traditional supplement can help you play one of those keys extremely well. But that's only one key of many that need to be played to maintain your health and wellness. So a company may come along and say, hey, we're going to own the cardiovascular health key, or we're going to own gut health. We're going to own immunoresponse. The only technology that is capable of playing the entire keyboard is redox signaling molecules, because it plays at the genetic and cellular level. It is not supplementation of raw materials. It is increasing genetic expression and activity, which enhances your body's own ability to play every key on that keyboard. So,
Well,
yeah.
That's magic. You know, if people could take that little, that could be a snippet, you know, that's a short. We'll have to make a short of that, because that's really what this is about. This is the redox landscape. And that's why this is such a category creator. We've used that word before. There isn't anything else there that is a category creator like this in the entirety of the entire wellness, not just the disease care, but the wellness side of the equation. Let's go around the horn and maybe take a 30, 45-second statement about resilience. Let's talk about resilience and preconditioning, fitness, that type of a thing. Ray, start with you.
Well, resilience essentially means to me that your cells have what they need to manage any stressor. That's what resilience is. And the most important management tool for any stressor is redox, redox balance. So I think the listeners would see the underlying excitement that we all have about where we've all landed in this world regarding health. I mean, Hunter is the chemical engineer responsible for keeping this product at its optimum. And then you've got across the whole health spectrum here with Dr. Dick as an MD, a medical specialist. You've got Dr. Lee as a dentist. You've got chiropractors, naturopaths here, and chemical engineers. And we're all on the same page, and we're all excited because this is where we all come together. So resilience is all about the body's ability to meet any stressor or any demand placed upon it. And one of the primary means of doing that is having your antioxidant capacity internally, endogenous, made within inside the human body. This is where the glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and catalase are made inside the human body. So if you've got that at its optimum, then, as was discussed earlier, you're not as reliant on exogenous, external supply. Now, this is not in any way to suggest that we shouldn't be ingesting healthy foods full of antioxidants. Of course, we all know that and we all agree with that. But if you've got that balance between those, then you've got absolutely optimum health, optimum longevity, and optimum function.
Dick?
Yeah. All in there, stress resilience is the most important thing. It's the overall understanding of what this product does, because you can't avoid exposure to stress. Glutathione is a big deal, but it's one key on the piano, and there's all kinds of other keys. There are many other things that we need to fortify in our bodies genetically to be resistant to the various types of stresses out there. I'm a little bit of a science fiction, Star Trekky guy, and, taking ASEA Redox is like putting up your force field. It's like the protective mechanism. It's like activating all of those protective mechanisms that you need to withstand the negative effects of the stress that you cannot avoid. And so being resilient to stress, I think, is really the best overall explanation of what ASEA does for us. And it enables your body then to spend some time repairing and rejuvenating and fixing things that have happened over time when you have not been resilient to the stresses that have caused whatever your health issues are. And so this is just an amazing supplement, and there is just nothing else out there like it. And the more I've learned about it and the more I continue to learn, the more impressed I am with it. And it really is my number one go-to for people who are suffering from any type of illness or symptoms, or, every once in a while, somebody will call me and they say, I've got this going on and that going on, and they've done every test under the sun. They probably spent $50,000 in testing, and they told me there's nothing wrong. Well, that just means that they haven't been able to figure out what cells are having problems. It doesn't mean there's nothing wrong. It means that there's an inability in the healthcare field to measure what's going on or to find it. But that person is sick, and that person needs to get extra redox molecules into their body to empower their body to find where that problem is and fix it.
Hunter, close us out here. Tell us why, where's this going? You probably have the closest inside eyes and on where we're at, but where's this going and what do we do?
Yeah, that question is perhaps the hardest question for me to answer, because there are so many things that I want to say, but I cannot yet. There are so many exciting studies in the pipeline right now that ASEA is invested in. When we talk about the Torrey lab study and having several pathways that are tied to this genetic expression that we saw an increase in, NRF2 is only one key on the entire keyboard. So we're looking at other keys right now. And really, the results that we're seeing are extremely exciting. Early on in ASEA's time, we almost had to beg researchers to do projects with us when we were first starting out, because it was such a foreign concept. It wasn't something that was well studied at the time. It wasn't viewed as important in the body. We didn't understand it nearly as well as we do now, not only ASEA, but as a scientific community. And so now, rather than begging people to study with us, we have people approaching us to start studies. And so really, there's a huge opportunity with the excitement around redox, and the research is absolutely fascinating and, quite frankly, very exciting, what we have going over the next couple of years. This resilience to stress is really the way to sum it up in my mind. Every presentation that I do, every discussion that I have, I try and end it, and I constantly am saying the single most important aspect of your body to maintain its health and wellness, in my opinion, is its ability to respond to stress. If it cannot respond to stress and get back into balance, or homeostasis, as we call it, it cannot maintain its health. There is not a single technology out there that is better at helping your body to respond to stress. And that's because, again, this is native to the body. These redox signaling molecules are made every day inside your cells. So your body knows exactly what to do with them. And it uses these molecules to respond to stress. And that is absolutely essential to maintaining health and wellness.
Well, thank you for everybody for being on. Thanks for Dr. Ray for joining us. He's going to head out here real quick and go do a presentation in Bangkok in front of a large audience. That's why he's all dudded up in his tie and his wonderful looking shirt. Dick, thank you for being on with us from lovely Spokane, Washington. And Hunter, thank you. We appreciate all the guests, participants, and people who have listened in or who will listen in on the recording, and those who participated in our chat with some good questions there. Let's just once again say that we are involved with a company selling, marketing, and distributing a supplement, which means we do not make medical claims. We don't diagnose, treat, or cure. This is about cellular health. We've just touched the surface here, although we were tempted to go really deep into some rabbit holes, which we love to do. But there's more information available on AseaScience.com, RedoxMatters.com, discoverredox.com. There's some wonderful websites out there that will deepen and broaden your understanding of the redox science. Especially talk with the person who brought you to this, who invited you, who explained anything to you in the beginning, and follow up with them. We encourage you not to purchase this supplement across any marketing platforms other than through ASEA Associates. So don't go to Amazon. We're not sure the quality there. There's always suspect adulterated product there, so you're at your own risk, and you don't get the wonderful benefits of purchasing from the company, nor with the warranty involved as well. We thank you all for being with us. We will be on next week. I'm unaware at this point, since I'm pitching in for Jim Glenn, as to who the guest will be, but that will be announced. So again, thank you all. Have a good evening from wherever, or a morning, or wherever you're at from around the world. And this will be up on redoxmatters.com for you to share within probably about 90 minutes. So thank you, Hunter, for being with us again, for Ray and Dick for being with us.
Pleasure.
Goodbye.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you all. Bye.
Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah.